When I first started talking to a phone, it was impossible for me. I stacked my phone on some shoeboxes to be able to put it on a stand, and I started talking. Well, not really, because I tried to talk, I pressed the record button. In fact, I pressed it about 5 times before I managed to say anything on camera. And my first video lasted like 20 seconds. So it didn't come easy. But in this video, I want to talk about how you can change from that stage, wherever you're at this stage of talking to a camera, to being really super confident on camera. So with that said, let's get right into it. So imagine a specific conversation that you had with your best friend. I don't care who it is, but just a conversation where it was super in depth. That one conversation. Well, imagine you're at that conversation, and hopefully it's a joyful one, not one that gets you depressed or with a bad announcement or anything like that. Just something that's really nice, a good conversation that you had that when you left, you ended up hyped. Now, as guys, we usually don't sit at coffee shops or, drinking coffee with friends unless we talk about a subject that we're both passionate about. But those things do happen. So we do talk about something. It could be having a meal at McDonald's after doing some sort of sports or something along those lines. You are the one that guides everything in this. So imagine you're with that best friend, you're having a meal, having a drink, it doesn't really matter, and you're at that conversation. When you switch on the camera, it should feel exactly the same way. Now, it's going to be a little bit different, especially when you first start, because talking to a camera can be intimidating. It's not like talking to somebody that has a back and forth conversation because it's delayed. Some people will in the comments, but really yours is going to be slightly different. Because you're talking to a phone, it's not going to be exactly that way, but you want to have the real vibe that you had at that specific conversation, not just a conversation that you would have otherwise on some other place, but really that conversation where you have it in mind. Where did that conversation happen? Imagine you're at that same place and your voice should be exactly the same. You're not going to try to mimic that voice, but you're going to instead try to have that same vibe in your whole body, not just the voice that's coming out of your mouth, but really your whole vibe should be kind of the same, where maybe your hand gestures are slightly different because maybe you were having a drink or something, but still it does keep that in mind, and we'll talk about the hands later on. But your whole body you should almost like scan your whole body to feel like you were at that specific conversation. If you think of a conversation that, yeah, I think I get the vibe, sometimes I talk to this or that person, but not really that one conversation. It doesn't necessarily have to be the best conversation, but at least one where it's specific and you can clearly remember how it felt like at that conversation. And you want to scan your whole body and feel like you are having that same conversation. That's going to make your videos sound 10 times more authentic than if you weren't. Now, I'm talking to this and I have some bullet points on my computer, and I've even had videos where I have nothing. I just go off the cuff and I talk to the camera with hardly any cuts. And the reason I say this is because I don't necessarily know what I'm going to say next. The next sentence, I have no idea what's going to happen. But if you're in that conversation with your friend, it's exactly the same. And one thing that I realized makes a massive difference in both how you look on camera, but also to get your mind going, is talking with your hands. So it might not be natural on camera, but when you do this in real life, it is. When you talk to friends, you don't have your hands next to your body like this and just talk like that. It doesn't happen. Those things are not true. So when you speak on camera, it might not be natural to do the same things as you would in real life. But if you take the first step of scanning your body, remembering that conversation that you had, on top of talking with your hands like this, like I've been doing, and sometimes I need to get myself to remember that I need to talk with my hands, because when you do this and you drop your hands next to your body, you're going to feel like you can't remember things or you don't know what you're going to say next. But your hands are effectively a way to think. When you talk about a subject, you're going to think with your hands. It kind of sounds like it's out there and it's not normal, or it sounds weird. But try this out. It makes a massive, massive difference, because you don't do this again naturally when you're talking to a phone, but you do it naturally when you talk with friends. And when you talk with friends, you don't have these blank moments of I don't know what to say next. Now, granted, it is a back and forth conversation that you have in real time, not just in the comment section, but also you talk with your hands, and that helps you remember what you're going to say next. When you talk with your friends, you're not worried about having this being perfect or sounding perfect or looking perfect. Now, there are some people like that, but hopefully you're not. When you are comfortable with somebody, your friends, your family, whoever it may be, that you're super comfortable, you're not going to be trying to be perfect. You're just being yourself, and you're talking what you want to talk about, and you're talking how you want to talk about it. And if you miss some things out, or you kind of take some time to remember things, that's all right. You don't care about that. And that should be the exact same thing that you do on camera. When you have a blank, or you don't know what you're going to say next, or you don't sound like you should have sounded, or you don't think that you did, you're just being yourself. And that builds a real connection, because you're a human being, and human beings have flaws. I have flaws, you do too. And it's that creates that conversation. It's that when I first started filming my first video, that also builds something, because I started to not be comfortable on camera at all. Well, I started not being comfortable. See, that I'm leaving in the video. So it's something that I build up to, and that also builds a connection. I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm not sounding like every single word needs to be super perfect. Instead, it's just all about that connection that you have with whoever you're talking to, and in that case, your audience. This might sound weird, but you do, maybe, not everyone does this, but you might want to warm up before you record a video. So my day usually starts off, when I film, starts off with walking my dog first, so I get my body moving, I have some coffee, and then I'll film my video. So that's just my ritual of filming, walking my dog, because I don't have a choice, but also just moving my body. It does help me move my body. So if you don't have a dog and you don't want to walk your dog, then you can just do some jumping up and down to get your body hyped and your body moving, if you're just jumping out of bed, for example. So those are some things that you might have to keep in mind, and just try and test it. Maybe it will work, maybe it won't, but hopefully it will. So maybe warming up can be something. Another way to warm up is just film something random on camera. So you just turn the camera on and you start talking about a random subject that just comes out of your mouth. If you do this, it will sound like you're not really worried about being recorded, and it will make you less worried about being recorded. And when you film the real thing, then it comes out way more naturally, as long as you use the things that we just talked about. Now, the energy is contagious. I've seen a ton of channels like this where they are smaller channels, and I was exactly the same. I started my channel and I was just mumbling my words. I had zero energy on my videos just because I was so stressed out about filming a video. And it's not that I didn't want to film, it's not that I didn't enjoy it, even though I was super stressed, but it made me sound like this because my energy was super low, my confidence was also low on filming a video, and so everything was against me in that sense. So just try to get some energy because that is contagious. So again, just warming up can be a big help. And at the time of filming this, I actually have a way to help you for 100% free. There's a link in the description. I'm not sure. I only have 5 spots available just so I can get some testimonials. So if there's any spots still available, then it will be the first link in the description. If it says free, then spots are available, and if it's not free, then they're not anymore. Now, even if you use all of these things that I just talked about and you don't have a real strategy to grow on YouTube like a normal person, then you're going to still struggle because even though you're able to build a connection, you're not able to do the whole thing. So that's why I made this video, so you can follow along and build that into what we just talked about so you can make the best YouTube videos possible. With that said, I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.